I wanted to make a little video to show what I've noticed and am very pleased with on the new Nokta Legend V1.15 update, particularly the deep target, the DT mode. It's a real breakthrough improvement for me, in my mineral sites especially. It works well on mild soil. Also, this is my mild ground test bed, and here's the mineral test bed that we've used before. Hope the sun's alright. But in mineral ground, the DT function works extremely well. Previously, the Legend struggled on the deeper targets in the mineral test bed. Even 6-inch targets were tough. 8-inch targets were pretty much undetectable unless they were larger than a coin or a large coin. So right now, let's go over a little bit without the DT mode. So basically, as it was previously, there's been some concern that there was some depth loss with V1.15 versus the prior 1.13 or the 1.11. I'm not seeing that. I've got a second Legend here that I bought for when my children can hunt with me. It's still on 1.11. I never updated it to 1.13 because I don't have the AccuPoint pinpointer. I use the Garrett Carrot. Very satisfied with it. So I'm not seeing any loss of depth between 1.11 and 1.15 with the deep target mode not even in consideration. With the deep target mode, the 1.15 is noticeably deeper on deeper targets. And it also helps some on iron separation, which Nokta alluded to, and one of the guys that I watch on YouTube that I like real well and think he does a really good job is History Revisited. He had some concerns about the depth, but he also mentioned that it improved the iron separation. The DT improved the iron separation, and he's correct. So here's kind of my current standard separation test. It's very similar to Iffy Signals, Mike's blocks. I haven't quite gotten that fancy. I was going to get a ruler and didn't do it, but there's a copper cent and a rusty nail, cut nail, square nail that I dug out of a site. Pretty large head. And then a smaller nail. That smaller nail is 2 inches above the coin and the other nail. And I'm just running the stock original LG28 coil on both units because that's the only coil that I have 2 of. Of course, the smaller coil will do better on this, but the 11-inch coil does amazingly well, and even the large LG35 coil separates extremely well and will pass this test too, but not quite as good. So we'll get back to that here in a little bit. Let's get on the mineral test bed. I've got my targets relabeled. Let's get a good ground balance, which is always important when hunting minerals. Okay, about 35. And I checked this yesterday. We've had some nice rain, so the ground's nice and moist. And it's running about 3 to 4 bars on the Legends mineral scale. I'm in field multi 1. I'm on 6 tones. The reaction is at 4. It does equally well in the minerals on 6, but 4 I get a better tone and a little bit better target ID. I've got deep target off. I've got the audio gain at my standard 3. We could run that up if we wanted to. It's not necessary here. So let's see. This is without DT. So basically running it just like it is on 1.11. The 5-inch US clad dime. This is an easy target for almost all of my detectors, so no problem on it. Nice high tone, good ID. This is a 6-inch deep brass cuff button. It's relatively difficult, even though it's only 6 inches deep, but it's small. Just iron. There's a little tone, but you would never stop for that. Just iron. The US copper 1 cent at 6 inches, so a little larger target. .55, so that's a good tone, but it's too high. The minerals mess with the IDs for sure. Mineral ground will usually up average the IDs, whereas man-made iron in close proximity will drag them down. US 5 cent nickel at 8 inches. This is a relatively tough target. And we can go on to the rest. The 8-inch 25 cent, it's going to show iron. The brass clock gear that's about 1.5 inches in diameter at 8 inches. This is a relatively easy target, also because of its size. It's pretty big. So you get a good tone on that, and a good ID. And if you'll notice, the ferrule check is mixed. You can't trust the ferrule check on deeper targets in the minerals. So that is one we would get even without DT. The 50 caliber lead Minier at 10 inches is a relatively tough target. This is the kind of targets that I'm normally looking for. Deep stuff, because I've already gotten the shallow stuff off of most of our sites. It's just pretty much iron. You'd never stop for that. So let's turn the DT on. And I found that you don't have to actually crank it all the way up. Iron filters 2, stability's 1, no bottle cap, no ground suppressor. DT's off, so let's kick it up to about 3. It goes to 6, and 6 is fine, but it's not necessary. I would normally probably hunt it in 4 or more, just because it does distort the sounds a little bit, but that's okay. If I'm hunting deeper targets, they're not going to sound pristine anyway. So we'll leave it on 3. I don't think it's necessary to re-ground balance it, but I'm pretty picky about that. It makes a big difference on my sights, so I'm going to re-ground balance it. Stay the same, 34. Okay. Easy 5-inch dime. So the cuff button, 6 inches. Starting to get some good tone. So let's turn the DT up to 4. Now let's just go on to 5. Save video time. Cuff button. That sounds pretty bad, but I'd stop for that. I know it's not a nail. 6-inch US copper cent. These not really any good, but that tone would stop me on a relic site. There's a good tone. And ID's low, but I know that it's not a nail. That's something non-ferrous, and I'd want to dig it. 8-inch US 5-cent nickel. 8 inches in this dirt's pretty deep. Yep. Good ID. The tone's a little low. I'm on 6-tone, but again, I'd stop for that. That's the proper tone. And a good close ID. US 25 cent at 8 inches. Good tone. Good strong tone. There again, the ID's not all that great. That's okay. I hunt mostly by tones. Clock gear, 8 inches. Good tone. Good ID. And the 50 caliber Mineralized at 10 inches. It's mostly iron, but there's something there. You can tell. I'd stop for that. I can tell it's deep. So that's a marked improvement in minerals. There's also a significant improvement in milder dirt, but it's not quite as significant, not quite as big a leap. But it definitely helps a lot on the really deepest targets. We'll do those next. My audio gain, I don't remember, I think it's 3. We could crank that up. We may do that later. So let's re-ground balance on the mild stuff. Well, pushed the wrong button and turned the darn thing off. Trying to watch the camera instead of what I'm doing. There's the 115 if you can see it. Alright. .44. Okay. Deep target still on 6, so let's turn it down a little. No, it was on 5. I didn't have it all the way up, so let's leave it on 3. And I'll go on to 4. I'm at a 24 sensitivity, by the way, so you still got some room to go up. This is a 7-inch dime. All right. We'll go with my standard kind of depth test. This is a US clad dime at 10 inches, which is kind of a rule of thumb. It's not an easy target, but it's not impossible either. I've got some that are more difficult. So if we go back to the DT and turn it back off, so we're back to what 111 would be. Audio gain's still up, I think. That's on 3, which is kind of normal. We'll go ahead and turn that all the way up just for the heck of it. Alright, 10-inch dime. There again, it's not, there's a good tone and good ID, but it's not consistent. But you know that there's something non-ferrous there. And if you're hunting deep stuff, if you know you've already got the shallow stuff, you would stop and dig that. This is a clad US quarter at 12 inches. This one's pretty hard. You just get a little iron buzz. No real ID at all. You know something's there, but you have no idea what it is. So let's turn the DT on. We're going up to about 4. 10-inch dime again. That's improved it some. We'll turn the DT all the way up. That's a good bit better. Still not perfect, but that's a pretty good repeatable tone there. High tone too. The 12-inch quarter again. Getting some tone now. Still not real good, but it is better. And there's still a few things you could do if you want to. I've got reaction on 4. You could go down to 3 or even 2, get some more depth. Okay, this is a 12-inch dime. Not going to get it really. A 15-inch US clad, 50 cents, $half. You can actually get a little bit of it. This is a 12-inch horseshoe. So the DT doesn't mess up the iron tone. This is a mason jar lid at 18 inches deep. Kind of simulating maybe a fruit jar cache. Post hole bank. Just iron. There's something there. So if you were hunting really deep targets, you might stop and dig that. This is a brass clock frame, about 3 inches by 3 inches. It's 12 inches deep. This is a relatively easy target, actually. And you dig a lot of stuff like this on relic sites. You'd stop for that and dig it all day long. So overall, the DT is a major improvement. I'll use it quite a bit, figure out what's going to be best on different conditions. I don't think I'll use the BE Beast mode that much. I'll do another video strictly on it. It's very similar to the Gen D mode on my Amphibio Multi. It's on all metal. Appears to be just like the Gen D, all metal motion channel with some tone ID for iron. They seem to have improved it quite a bit. I'm not sure if the DT mode that we're concentrating on here today is further refinement and development of their EUD mode, extended underground depth mode on the amphibios. It worked well, but it was a little weak, just like the Gen D always seemed a little weak. The beast mode's certainly not weak, but it still suffers from no real ID. So we've gotten so used to having ID and tone ID, especially on deeper targets, that it's hard to go back to the old ways of just digging an all metal threshold bump. But you can do it, just not as efficient. But there's a place for things like that. So let's grab the other detector that's still got 1.11 on it and show the depth difference between the two. I haven't noticed it at all. So let's do that next. Okay, this is the legend that's still running 1.11. I've got the settings all identical. I've never actually, we've hunted together running both machines, but I've never had them, quite this close. Anyway, they really act ignorant with each other. So here's the 10-inch US clad dime with 1.11, same settings. It's just iron. There's a little bit. Alright, let's go get the 1.15 with the deep target mode turned off. Same target. So I could do several other targets too, but that tells me that there's no practical discernible difference between 1.11, 1.13, and 1.15 with the deep target turned off. So I'm going to update this second legend here to 1.15 today and never look back, and hope that Nokta continues to improve things like they have, listening to customers, taking good ideas from the field, doing just an excellent job overall of customer support, customer involvement. Just couldn't ask for a better company. It's just really refreshing to see. Alright, iron separation. Okay, back on the 1.15, and we're going to go to two-tone. Just makes it easier to discern. I'm going to turn the auto gain back down 3. You could go down to 1, it'd be fine on hunting really trashy surface stuff. You're not going to get it real deep anyway. There's recovery 4. I'm not scared of the recovery 4 trying to separate iron like this. It gives a better tone. If you don't swing like a madman, it's not a problem. Deep target off. So there's the setup. You can see this way. That's 2-inch height on that raised nail. Now the ID is useless in situations like this. And so's the ferrule check. It's going to show iron. You got to hunt by tone. And the closer you get to the nail, the more difficult it is. But you get off the nail, hopefully they're under the surface a little bit, and it improves remarkably. That's probably 8 or 10 inches above. Of course, you turn 90 degrees on it and sweep the nails perpendicularly, and it's much easier, much cleaner, and you get a decent ID sometimes. But there's no mistaking that. So, let's tighten this up and make it more difficult. That's pretty crowded right there. That's probably an inch from the center on the right nail, and maybe an inch and a half on that raised nail. You get a little chirp. That's about it. Perpendicular is still no problem. That's why you hunt a site from multiple angles. I do have my first home break at 7, which is my normal. You could lower it to 6 and still be fine, and then mask a little bit better. So let's turn the deep target on. Let's just go to 3, halfway, and see if it improves. It definitely does improve. It's still a very short tone, but it's solid and it's repeatable. So, deep target, off. Three. It's not dramatic, but it's enough to help. And that's right down on the nail now. Go back to 0. And it's a lot. It's worse. So 6 definitely helps. So this is the DT is not only going to be an excellent tool to use in the minerals, but also in the heavy iron. I'm very pleased with this this update and these innovations and outside the box thinking that Nokta has come up with. Real added value. You know, the Legend has always been a good detector, and each update has brought good improvements, often significant improvements. You know, the addition of the iron filter was a major step forward. We can thank Mike at Iffy Signals a lot for pushing Nokta into doing that, and he's helped a lot behind the scenes. Good guy, knows what he's doing. And this new update with the DT, you know, and the beast mode, there'll be other people that have more use for the beast mode that will, you know, be great. But the DT for me is going to be a real improvement in the performance on the mineral sites, and yet probably in the iron too. I'm going to try to get out later on today and hunt one of my relic sites that I've got, the worn down relic site that I hunted with the Versa. Get out there with the Legend and get in the iron and see what I can come up with DT. But overall, I'm really pleased with it. Each detector I own has its strengths and does certain things just a little differently, often just a little bit better than other units. But in the minerals, in the iron, simultaneous multi-frequency is the game changer. I still use my single frequency detectors a lot on the right sites. They perform extremely well. and we'll do some things differently and slightly better, but mostly just differently than the multi-frequency detectors. But even the different multi-frequency detectors, they see and do things differently from each other, and that's why it's important, if you have more than one machine, to rehunt sites with different machines, even same machine with different coils, different settings, different directions. You know, pound it. It's never hunted out. There's always stuff there that you miss, that somebody else has missed. But overall, the Legend has raised the bar on performance, not only for itself but for the competition. You know, I don't have a Deus. I don't have any Minelab products. I don't feel like I need them. I think the Legend and the Rugus Versa and my other detectors, the Tarsace, the Vista X, the AT Max is a great detector. You know, they're all, the Amphibio Multi is a fabulous single frequency detector. They fill my needs. But I would, you know, if I had the chance to hunt with some of the guys that I read about, watch on YouTube, I wouldn't feel handicapped at all meeting them on their sites, you know, with the Legend or the Rugus Versa. I'd have fun. I'd find some targets. We'd have a good time and learn from each other. So that's what this channel's about, is just to pass on what I've noticed, what I've learned kind of the hard way, just getting out there and doing it. What I would have liked to see when I was, you know, getting started, what I still like to see, what I enjoy. You know, I still watch a lot of videos. I watch several guys overseas that I can't even understand the language. You know, Pymeric in Poland is very good. So I got to get him to do transcripts for me so I can read what the heck he's saying. But it's a lot of fun. It's always enjoyable. Try to learn everything you can. Try to learn something every time you go out, and enjoy the time out. It's just nice. So thanks for watching. Hope this helps some.